Those were the words echoing in Kody Brown's mind as the sky above Flagstaff cracked open with a deep, rumbling thunder. The storm clouds rolled across the mountains like an army marching toward his home, violent and unstoppable. Wind slapped against the walls, rattling the windows, and lightning cast sharp, terrifying shadows on the living room floor. But none of it compared to the storm building inside Kody's chest. He stood frozen, staring at the slim brown envelope on the coffee table, an envelope that shouldn't have existed in his world. It didn't have a name. No return address gave any hint of whom it was from. Only a black stamp in the corner, soaked by the rain. Over the years, Kody had received hundreds of letters regarding his work, some adoring, some angry, some pleading for advice. But this envelope felt different. It felt wrong. It felt like a warning. He swallowed hard. His throat was dry. His hands shook. One of the patio chairs whirled across the lawn while the wind screamed like a beast, and yet inside the house, a deeper silence grew. Heavy, suffocating, thick with dread. A part of him whispered, "Don't open it." Another voice whispered louder, "You already know what's inside." His fingers hovered over the edge of the envelope. Then he drew it closer. The paper felt cold, almost icy, like it carried the chill of a grave. He tore it open. The sound of ripping paper seemed to echo through the entire house. Kody's breath hitched as he reached inside and pulled out a thin file. No thicker than a menu card, but heavier than any burden he'd carried before. A single word at the top of the first page hit him like a punch to the chest. Case file. It had his name printed under it. Not Kody Brown, the celebrity. Not Kody Brown, the reality star. Not Kody Brown, the husband of 4 wives. No. This was his name from another lifetime. The name he used before fame, before cameras, before the world knew him, before he swore he'd never let this part of his life resurface. His heart pounded so loudly he could hear it in his ears. He scanned the lines. Each sentence was worse than the last. A document of charges, financial misconduct, a broken agreement, a signature. His signature from years ago. Kody stumbled backwards and collapsed onto the couch. A streak of lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the file in his hands. He whispered, "No, no, this cannot be happening." He flipped to the next page. His stomach twisted. For a moment, his vision went blurry. This wasn't old paperwork. This wasn't a forgotten memory. This was a weapon. Someone was bringing the past back to life. Someone wanted him in court. Someone wanted revenge. And someone knew exactly when to strike. And right now, when his family was already falling apart in front of the whole world. He pressed the heels of his hands against his temples, trying to steady the rising panic inside him. His breathing turned, uneven, and he felt the walls closing in around him. "Who did this?" he whispered again. He didn't have to wait long for an answer. His phone buzzed. Kody froze. The message preview glowed on the screen like a blade. "You can't hide forever. The truth is coming." His jaw clenched. His pulse skyrocketed. His fingers shook as he opened the message fully. There was no name, no number, no identification. A private, untraceable message. A cold sweat began to form on the back of Kody's neck. Whoever sent the file knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't some random threat. This wasn't a prank. This was personal. He stood up abruptly and then, like a trapped animal, paced back and forth. Once more, lightning flashed through the window, and for that instant, Kody saw his reflection there in the glass. He didn't recognize himself. His eyes looked tired, older, haunted, ever since the wives started leaving. First Christine, then Janelle, Then Mary. The world had been judging him. His mistakes, his decisions, his ego, his downfall, all captured by the cameras, edited, broadcast, and dissected by millions. But those were emotional wounds, family wounds. This was something different. This was a legal attack. This was a threat to everything he had. His image, his money, his children, his remaining family, and his already fragile mental state. The thunder boomed outside again. The whole house shook. The lights flickered. Kody took the file again, flipping through each page as if hoping the words would change. They didn't. The allegations were serious. So serious that even a hint of truth could ruin him. His mouth was dry. He then whispered, "Why now?" He thought back to his past. Desperate to pinpoint the moment things went terribly wrong, he remembered the name mentioned in the file. A business partner. A deal made pre-sister wives. A promise, a disagreement, a fallout, a mistake. One he thought he had escaped. Then suddenly he heard footsteps upstairs, light, cautious, and curious. One of the wives? Uno de los niños? He gathered the papers quickly together and stuffed them back inside the envelope, tucking it beneath the cushion beside him. He wiped his forehead, straightened his shirt, and tried to calm his breathing. But the footsteps grew louder. Then a voice called out, "Kody, why are the lights flickering? And what are you doing down here?" It was Robin. Of all his wives, Robin was the most emotional, expressive, and intuitive, the one who would always sense if something was wrong. Kody took a deep breath and forced his features into what he hoped was a normal expression. He turned around slowly, but his eyes still betrayed him. Robin stepped closer, scanning his face. "Kody, you look pale. What happened?" He swallowed hard. "Nothing. The storm just woke me up." But Robin wasn't convinced. Her gaze fell to the coffee table. "Were you reading something?" Kody's heart thudded, painfully. No, just some old papers." Robin watched him for a long moment, her eyes narrowing slightly. She didn't believe him entirely, but she didn't push. Not yet. Instead, she walked to the window and looked outside. "The storm is getting worse," she whispered. "You should come upstairs." But Kody remained frozen in place, the weight of that hidden file pressing against the cushion beside him like an invisible hand closing around his throat. After Robin had left the room, he sank into the couch again, staring at the dark window in front of him. The storm outside had finally found a way inside his home. And now, someone out there had the power to tear apart everything he had left. He looked down at his phone again. Morning light filtered weakly through the curtains, painting the kitchen in pale, tired shades of gold. Mornings usually held noise in the Brown household. Kids rushing, dishes clinking, phones buzzing, doors opening and closing. Today, an eerie stillness clung to the air, like the house itself was holding its breath. Mary sat at the long wooden dining table, stirring her tea but not drinking. Her eyes stared at nothing, just drifting, lost in thought. She had spent most of the night awake, hearing Kody pace downstairs, the soft thuds, a few muffled curses, and the creak of the front door opening and then closing. She didn't need details. Her instincts were too strong. She knew Kody, knew his patterns, knew his lies. Something wasn't right today. Very wrong. Footsteps approached. Christine entered the room, tying her robe tighter around herself. Her hair was messy, her face still puffy with sleep, but her eyes, those sharp, intuitive eyes, were alert. "You're up early," Mary said. "That storm kept me awake. And—" Christine lowered her voice. "I heard Kody." Mary exhaled a mirthless sigh. "We all heard him." Christine sat down, planting her elbows on the table. You think it's about the show, or is it one of us? Mary smirked. If it were about one of us, he'd be yelling, not hiding. Just then, Janelle walked in, carrying her tablet and a half-frustrated, half-worried mom expression. She looked from Mary to Christine and asked, "Did either of you see Kody this morning?" "No," Mary said. "He came upstairs around, 4 a.m.? And even then he didn't talk." Christine nodded. "He's hiding something." Janelle didn't argue. She simply set her tablet down and exhaled a heavy sigh. "He's been off for weeks, secretive, distant. And last night, he didn't even go to bed. I walked out at 3:30 and he was sitting in the dark, just staring at something." Mary and Christine exchanged a glance. Before they could say a word, Robin had darted into the kitchen. She looked haggard, dark circles under her eyes, hair hastily bundled up, her voice quivering. "He was downstairs again just now," said Robin softly. "I asked him what he was doing, but he brushed me off." Christine sat up straight. "What do you mean, again?" "He left the bedroom before sunrise," Robin said, "and he had something in his hands, a folder. He tucked it under his arm as if he didn't want me to see." Mary's spine straightened. "A folder?" "Yes. A brown one?" Christine added, her voice razor-sharp. Robin hesitated. "Yes." "Why?" Slowly, Mary leaned back in her chair and let out a sigh. "Because I saw the same thing, last night, before he even went upstairs." The wives became silent. 4 women who had shared decades of holidays and arguments, pregnancies and heartbreak, jealousy and laughter, sat now around a table united by one thing: suspicion. "What's he gotten himself into now?" Christine muttered. Janelle rubbed her temples. "Look, let's be calm. Maybe it's just something with the network." Mary gave her a pointed look. "Kody doesn't hide network problems. He makes a big speech about how he's the only one who understands business decisions." Christine added, "And if it was financial, he'd be bragging or panicking loudly." Robin looked down. "He was scared, Mary. Last night I could see it. He wasn't angry or annoyed. He was scared." Once more, silence clung heavily to the kitchen. It felt as if every word was absorbed by the walls. The house seemed to lean in and listen. The wives had seen Kody worried before. They had seen him overwhelmed. They had seen him upset. But fear? That was rare. And when Kody feared something, it usually meant danger. Hours ticked by with little change. The wives went about their morning routines, working on breakfast, checking emails, preparing homeschool materials. But they weren't into it. Their eyes repeatedly drifted down the hallway, awaiting the appearance of Kody. He didn't. He just stayed in his office, locking the door. By noon, Janelle had had enough. "Kody!" she shouted from outside his office. "Open the door. We need to talk." A chair scraped inside, then footsteps. Then, the door opened only halfway. Kody stood before her, his eyes bloodshot, his hair uncombed, his shirt wrinkled. He looked like he had aged 5 years in one night. "What is it?" he asked too quickly, too defensively. Janelle crossed her arms. "We're worried." "I'm fine." Mary appeared behind her. "You're not fine, Kody." "Let it go," he snapped. Christine came forward. "What's in that folder?" Kody froze. His face went pale. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. His throat tightened visibly. Robin set a gentle hand on his arm. "Please, tell us." Kody pulled away from her touch. "It's nothing. Just private business." Mary raised an eyebrow. "Private business or a secret?" He flinched at the word, a small movement, but the wives saw it. Christine's voice cracked with frustration. Kody, if something threatens this family, we deserve to know. It does not concern the family, he muttered, looking away. Janelle countered firmly. Everything concerns the family. Robin's eyes widened in fear. Kody, are you in trouble? He looked at her then, from the corner of his eye, and whispered, I just need time, please. Then he shut the office door in their faces. Nobody stirred for a long moment. Finally, Mary stepped back with cold disappointment in her eyes. He's lying, Christine whispered. Of course he is. Robin wiped her eyes. What do we do? Slowly, Janelle exhaled, her calm voice steady but heavy. We wait, and we watch, and we make sure whatever this is doesn't explode while we're blind. But the truth? It was already exploding. They just didn't know how big the blast would be. Later that evening, it was the wives who gathered once again, this time in the living room. The storm from last night had yet to pass, but inside the home, the emotional storm had only intensified. Christine sat on the couch hugging a pillow. Mary stood by the fireplace, her arms crossed. Robin perched on the edge of the armchair, nibbling at her nails. Janelle paced at a slow rate, deep in thought. He's spiraling, Christine said. I have seen this look before. It's not random. Mary nodded. Whatever's in that file is serious. I asked him again, Robin whispered, and he shut me out. Janelle ceased pacing. So something changed last night. Something happened. Christine added, Yeah, something arrived. Mary finished the thought out loud. Something in that brown envelope. Just then, the sound of a door creaking echoed down the hallway. The wives stiffened as Kody appeared, walking slowly toward the living room. His face was blank. Too blank. Like someone wearing a mask that did not fit right. You all think I'm hiding something, he said quietly. Mary spoke boldly. Because you are. Kody swallowed hard. Then he uttered the words that made all four of them sit up straight. You're right. The room fell silent. Robin's hands flew to her mouth. Christine's heart skipped. Janelle's shoulders tensed. Mary's eyes narrowed. Kody continued, his voice trembling faintly. I didn't want to tell you until I knew more. But something from my past, something I thought was dead, isn't. Christine leaned forward. What do you mean? Kody opened his mouth, took a breath, and then he hesitated, as if repeating the truth aloud would make it crash even harder. I've been contacted by someone wanting to reopen something. A case, a situation. A legal situation? Janelle whispered. Kody didn't respond. That was answer enough. Robin felt tears welling up in her eyes. Kody, how bad is it? Kody looked at them, really looked at them, his wives, his partners, his history. It's bad enough, he said softly, that it could destroy everything we have left. Painful silence swallowed the room, and somewhere, deep inside the house, that hidden file waited, like a loaded gun. The sun wasn't fully up when the knock came. It wasn't loud. It wasn't frantic. It wasn't aggressive. It was worse than all of that. It was calm, measured, final. A knock like that doesn't ask for permission. It announces fate. He sat at the kitchen counter nursing a half-drunk cup of coffee, his mind still tangled in last night's nightmares. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the brown envelope, the papers, the case file, the message. You can't hide indefinitely. Those words had carved themselves into his mind. His chest felt tight, his hands shook, his mind wouldn't stop racing. So, when that soft, deliberate knock echoed across the quiet house, he froze. Another knock followed. The wives, half awake and moving noiselessly about the house, came to a standstill. Christine whispered from the hallway, "Who knocks this early?" Mary turned toward the door. No one with good news. Janelle approached slowly, tension evident in her shoulders. Kody stood up abruptly, almost knocking over the coffee cup. His heart raced as he moved toward the door. Robin peered from the stairs anxiously. Kody, don't open it. But something within him knew he had no choice. The knocking came again, still polite, still steady, still terrifying. Kody reached for the handle. His throat tightened. He pulled the door open. A man in a dark suit stood on the porch, holding a sealed envelope in one hand, a clipboard in the other. He didn't smile. He wasn't angry. He wasn't emotional at all. His face was the expression of a person who does this every day, delivering news that changes lives. He lifted the envelope slightly. Are you Kody Wynn Brown? Kody hesitated. He saw Christine watching from behind him. He felt Janelle tense. He sensed Mary's suspicion sharpening. He saw Robin's hand clenched tight on the railing. He swallowed hard. Yes, that's me. The man nodded, extending the envelope. You've been served. Kody said nothing. His hand was trembling while he took the envelope. He looked at his clipboard, nodded once more, and then walked away in complete silence. His footsteps disappeared into the early morning silence. But in an instant, the silence inside the Brown household broke. Christine stepped forward. What is that? Janelle's voice was thin, weak. Kody, what did he just give you? Robin looked terrified. Mary's eyes narrowed like knives. With his back to them, Kody closed the door stealthily. He looked at the envelope in his hands, white and crisp with stamps of that chilling official language he had prayed he would never see again. Court summons. His fingers tightened around it. He finally turned to face the wives, who were now standing together, an unmoving wall. 4 pairs of eyes demanding, fearing, questioning. Kody's voice cracked. It's what I've been trying to avoid. Christine took a step closer. What is it, Kody? It's from the past, he whispered. Someone I used to know. Someone I wronged. Or someone who thinks I wronged them. Janelle's face softened. Is it a lawsuit? He didn't answer. He sank onto the couch, the envelope trembling in his hands. Robin walked over slowly, tears forming. Open it, please. We need to know. Kody hesitated. His breath was shaky. It felt heavier than metal, as if all the consequences he outran for years were packed inside that paper. Finally, he tore it open with the wives looking on. Dusty sunlight spilled across the living room floor as he unfolded the pages. Christine leaned in. Read it. Kody's eyes scanned the lines, his jaw clenched, his face drained of all color. This is bad, Mary snapped. Read it out loud. Kody shut his eyes, mustering up whatever courage remained in his body. Then he read. You are hereby summoned to appear before the district court on account of charges of breach of contract, financial misrepresentation, and failure to comply with prior agreements. Christine gasped. Robin clamped a hand over her mouth. Janelle's eyes grew wide. Mary's face hardened. Kody read further, his voice breaking. The plaintiff argues that Kody Brown knowingly breached a signed agreement of financial partnerships prior to the airing of Sister Wives. Plaintiff claims that Brown abandoned contractual obligations and profited from the fame resulting from the show without regard for original business commitments. Robin whispered, This is a lie, right? Please tell me this is a lie. Kody didn't answer immediately. And that silence, that hesitation, was more painful than any verbal admission. Kody, Janelle whispered, how much of this is true? He finally looked up. A deal was made. Before the show. Before everything. I thought it was resolved. I thought he walked away. I never expected him to come back. Christine's voice was sharp. So he's suing you because you got famous? Yes. Because you didn't finish a deal? Yes. Because you hid it? Mary added. Kody swallowed hard. I didn't hide it. I just forgot to tell you. Christine snorted loudly. You don't forget something like this, Kody. You don't forget a lawsuit waiting to happen, Robin cried out. What if the cameras find out? What if the network finds out? Janelle's voice was trembling. What if this affects our kids? Kody's hands shook. That's what he wants, public attention. That's why he waited until now. He wants me humiliated. Christine shook her head. He wants money, Kody. And now that you're famous, he knows he'll get it. Mary's voice was chillingly calm. How big is the claim? Kody hesitated again. Then he whispered, $380,000. Robin burst into tears. Christine sat down, dumbfounded. Janelle closed her eyes, pain etched on her face. Mary's lips clamped tight, but her eyes shone shocked. How could you let this happen? She demanded. Kody ran a hand through his hair, frustration exploding inside him. I didn't let it happen. I didn't think he'd ever come back. Christine stopped him by yelling, You didn't think! That's the problem! The room was filled with hotly exhaled breaths, unsaid accusations, fear, anger, and uncertainty. Nobody said anything for several minutes. Then, finally, Janelle posed the question that really mattered. When is the court date? Kody looked down at the paper and whispered, Next week. Christine's eyes widened. Next week? That's not enough time. Robin cried harder. Kody, we're not ready. You're not ready. We don't even have a lawyer. Mary glared. Oh, he probably has one. The plaintiff probably has a whole team. Kody put his face in his hands. I know. I messed up. I didn't expect this. I thought my past was gone. Christine muttered under her breath. The past never goes away, Kody. It waits. Janelle's voice softened. Okay, listen. Fighting won't fix anything. We need facts. We need to know what's real and what's exaggerated. Robin nodded. We stand with you, but you need to stop hiding things from us. It wasn't until now that Kody looked up at them, his wives, the people whom he had built his life with, the people he had fought with, cried with, loved, and hurt. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't want you involved. But Christine shook her head firmly. You involved us the moment you hit it. Again, silence fell, heavy, emotional, inevitable. The papers lay on the table like a bomb, and the wives knew. The court buildings have that peculiar sort of silence, not of peace nor of gentleness, but cutting, suffocating, as if the air was holding its breath, waiting for something to crumble. On the morning of Kody Brown's hearing, the sky above Arizona was a dull, grim gray, with clouds that piled like stone, threatening rain. But the real storm wasn't in the sky. It was gathering on the courthouse steps. The reporters at the door circled like vultures, awaiting fresh prey. Cameras flashed, microphones thrust forward. Voices screamed questions that stabbed the air. Is it true you hid a lawsuit from your wives? Are the allegations real? Did you steal money before Sister Wives began? Are the bankruptcy rumors true? Will you lose custody of your kids if the case expands? As Kody emerged from the car, he felt the wall of noise crushing him. He wore a suit, but one wrinkled from stress, not style. His hair was combed, but his eyes told of sleepless nights. Behind him followed the wives, Mary, stiff and unreadable, Janelle, outwardly composed while the tempest raged below, Christine, silent but fuming, Robin, trembling but trying to stand strong. They seemed to be four shadows following a man to his execution. As soon as the cameras spotted them, the frenzy burst. "Christine, why did you come if you already left Kody?" "Mary, is it finally over?" "Robin, are you the only wife supporting him?" "Janelle, are you considering divorce?" Christine's jaw was clenched so tightly it hurt. Tears filled Robin's eyes immediately. Mary muttered under her breath, "Just ignore them. Keep walking." Janelle set a steadying hand on her shoulder. "But Kody?" He heard each word like a bullet striking a metal door inside. The security guards opened the courthouse doors. The din from outside stopped momentarily, giving way to a deafening silence. Marble floors, cold walls, echoing footsteps. A shiver crawled up Kody's spine. This wasn't TV drama. This wasn't scripted conflict. This was reality. Cold, unforgiving reality. Everything felt too bright, too quiet inside the courtroom. The judge's bench towered above them. Hard wooden pews filled with onlookers, reporters, and curious locals. A few court sketch artists sharpened their pencils to capture the fall of a man the world once watched in fascination. Kody sat down at the defendant's table, his hands shaking under the surface. The wives sat down behind him, a silent row of conflicting emotions. The plaintiff's side was already prepared. Standing next to him was a tall, clean-cut lawyer in a navy suit. Beside that, a middle-aged man, Kody's former business partner, looked polished, well-rested, and very ready for this fight. He smirked when he saw Kody, not a friendly smirk, a smirk of a man who waited for years for this particular moment. Kody's chest tightened. Christine whispered behind him, "That's him?" Kody nodded weakly. "He looks smug," she hissed. Mary whispered sharply, "He looks like he knows he's about to win." Robin shook her head despairingly. "Don't say that." But the truth was clear. The plaintiff wanted blood. Everyone rose when the judge came in. Kody Brown versus Daniel Reeves, docket number 4172. The voice of the judge was calm, but strong. "You may be seated." The plaintiff's attorney stood. "Your Honor, my client seeks justice for a violated contract, broken promises, and financial damages in the sum of $380,000, all at the hands of Mr. Kody Brown." The room was abuzz with whispers. Christine grasped the edge of the bench. Janelle sat forward, her hands clenched tight in her lap. Mary's jaw twitched. Robin's fingers shook. Kody's attorney, a shorter, older man with silver hair, rose too. "Your Honor, we'll demonstrate that this is an action based on exaggerations, distortions, and malicious timing. The plaintiff sat on this matter for almost a decade, waiting conveniently until Mr. Brown became a public figure to exploit his fame." The plaintiff's attorney smiled slowly, as if he'd been waiting for that. "Conveniently?" he repeated. "Or perhaps my client waited because Mr. Brown refused all communication for years." The judge lifted a hand. "No arguments. Provide evidence." And so the battle started. The plaintiff's attorney was diabolically good. He presented old emails, signed agreements, financial spreadsheets, screenshots of messages Kody barely remembered sending, claims that Kody had promised earnings from show-related projects that never included the plaintiff. The attorney spoke precisely, powerfully, and in a tone that suggested he didn't want to simply win the case, but ruin Kody. "Mr. Brown used my client's money to start projects with which he became famous, and when the fame arrived, Mr. Brown conveniently abandoned him." Kody swallowed hard. He wanted to yell. He wanted to defend himself. But every time he opened his mouth— "Let your lawyer speak, Mr. Brown," the judge warned. The wives watched helplessly. Mumbling to herself, Christine said, "He's twisting everything." "We need proof." Janelle whispered. Something real. Mary stared at the plaintiff. He's been waiting for this moment. Robin silently wiped away her tears. Kody. Oh, Kody. Then came the worst moment of all. The plaintiff's attorney produced something that nobody anticipated. A printed email with Kody's name. A promise of partnership. A promise of payment. A promise of future earnings. But there was more. A second set of documents, apparently showing a withdrawal Kody made shortly after their fallout. The courtroom gasped. Reporters scribbled wildly. Even the judge lifted an eyebrow. Kody's face had drained of all color. His heart pounded. His vision blurred. He turned in panic to his lawyer. I didn't write that. I didn't sign that. This isn't right. The attorney nodded. Be calm. The wives responded immediately. Christine. That's not his writing. Mary. Those don't look like his signatures. Janelle. Those timestamps don't even match the show's timeline. Robin. Someone forged these. But the plaintiff's attorney wasn't finished yet. He leaned forward and said loudly, Your Honor, we request an investigation into the financial history of Mr. Brown. His lifestyle, his multiple households, and his TV income all suggest he had the money and intentionally withheld it. The room erupted with gasps. Christine sprang to her feet. That's a lie! The judge's gavel came down. Order! Robin was crying. Janelle was breathing rapidly, near panic. Mary's face was red with fury. Kody sat frozen. This wasn't a hearing anymore. This was a public execution. His thoughts went spiraling. Is this how it ends? Is this how the world sees me? Is this where it all falls apart? He closed his eyes tightly. Then, Your Honor, Kody's attorney said suddenly, we have evidence that these documents were altered. The courtroom was silent. The judge leaned forward. Explain. Kody's attorney held up the purported email. This document contains formatting that did not exist at the time it was allegedly sent. Additionally, the metadata shows signs of tampering. And the signatures, well, he handed them to the judge. These signatures belong to a scanned template, not original ink. Gasps filled the air. Instantly, the plaintiff stood. That's not true. My client, your client, Kody's attorney interjected, waited almost a decade to bring this forward, and he waited until Mr. Brown became a household name. Why is that? The plaintiff stuttered. Because... But he had no answer. The judge's eyes narrowed. Mr. Reeves, did you forge these documents? The plaintiff's face reddened. This is ridiculous. The judge slammed the gavel again. Enough. I will not tolerate fraud. We take a short recess, and when I come back, I will make my decision. The courtroom erupted. The wives leaned forward. Kody exhaled finally, relief beginning to flicker in his chest, even as fear still clung to every breath. This wasn't over, but for the first time, he had the opportunity. The courtroom was different when the judge returned from recess. Charged, electric, tense. Every breath felt heavier. Every whisper echoed louder. Every heartbeat within the room seemed to thump in slow motion. Kody Brown sat frozen at the defense table, his palms sweating, chest tight. His wives lined up behind him, an uneasy row of shadows. They were exhausted, emotionally drained, terrified, and barely holding it together. The judge adjusted her glasses once more, then turned back to the forged documents and spoke in that same firm, powerful manner. After reviewing the evidence, it is obvious that major documents presented by the plaintiff were tampered with, manipulated, or forged. A ripple of gasps swept across the courtroom. Robin covered her mouth. Christine released a quavering breath. Janelle's shoulders relaxed a little bit. Mary's eyes widened in shock. The plaintiff turned pale. His attorney was dumbfounded, a twist they had never bargained for. The judge continued. The court dismisses the plaintiff's claim with prejudice, due to the fraudulent nature of these submissions. With prejudice, meaning the case could not be filed again. Kody's head dropped into his hands. A sound escaped him, a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Christine's eyes softened. "Thank God," Janelle whispered. Robin sobbed softly. Mary closed her eyes, but her face revealed layers of emotion, anger, relief, and sadness. The judge raised her gavel. "This hearing is concluded." And in one stroke of wood against wood, the battle was over. But the war inside the Brown family had only just begun. Outside the court, chaos struck immediately. Reporters swarmed in like a tidal wave. "Kody, was the lawsuit real? Kody, did you forge anything? Kody, is this the end of Sister Wives? Mary, why did you support him? Christine, are you back with him now? Robin, how do you feel about your husband's hiding things again? Janelle, is this the last straw?" Security formed a wall as they pushed through the sea of noise and flashing lights. Kody tried to walk straight, but each question pierced deeper into him. Christine held her head high, but her eyes said everything. This is too much. Mary walked stiffly, her jaw tight, anger emanating from her. Janelle stayed close to the center, protector as ever. Robin clung to her purse, tears slipping down her cheeks. When they finally reached the car and slammed the door shut, there was silence. Not peaceful silence, but heavy, boiling silence. The car engine hummed, but nobody said anything. Not for several minutes. Finally, Christine broke the silence. "Well, you won." But her voice didn't sound happy. It sounded tired. It sounded done. Kody stared ahead. "We won." "No," Christine said coldly. "You won. We just survived." Janelle looked down at her hands. "Why didn't you tell us, Kody? From the beginning? Why hide something this big?" Kody rubbed his forehead. "Because I didn't think it mattered anymore. I thought it was dead." Mary scoffed. "You thought? That's the problem. You always think alone, Kody. You never include us until the fire reaches the house." Robin's voice shook as she whispered, "You scared me, Kody. Last night. You scared me." Kody finally turned to them, breaking into speech. "I didn't want to lose you. I didn't want you to see that part of my past. I didn't want you to think less of me." Christine gave him a painfully honest look. "We've seen the worst parts of you, Her words weren't mean. They were the truth. And sometimes the truth cuts deepest." When they got home, the household was quiet. Too quiet. Kids were curious, but stayed back, sensing something heavy in the air. The wives quickly dispersed, each to her own space. But Kody just stood in the living room, the weight of an empty victory pressing down on him. He'd walked out of the courtroom a free man, yet somehow felt more trapped than ever. Later that night, the house lights were dim, the storm had passed, but inside, emotions still raged. Kody sat on the couch, staring at nothing. The shadows dancing on the wall, the memories that he wished he could erase, the regrets clinging to him like heavy chains. Robin approached first. She sat beside him gently. "You should talk to them." "I know." "Then why aren't you?" "Because I don't know what to say." Robin's eyes shimmered. "Try honesty. You never tried that before." He closed his eyes. She was right. Christine was next, reluctant, reflective. "Kody," she whispered, "I'm angry. I'm disappointed. But today, when I saw you sitting there, with the whole courtroom attacking you. I felt something. What? Pity. Kody raised his head. I realized, you're lost, Kody. You don't even know who you are anymore, and you keep dragging us into your storms. Her tone wasn't bitter. They were sad, painfully sad. Then came Janelle into the room. She stood erect, arms akimbo. I'll support you through anything, she said, but I need you to stop making decisions alone. That ends now. Kody nodded slowly. I'll try. Not try, Kody. Do. Mary came last. She didn't sit. She didn't soften. She stared at him, eyes sharp, voice steady. You keep saying you're afraid of losing us, but Kody, you lost us a long time ago. Not because of polygamy, not because of your past, but because you don't trust us with the truth. Her words cut deeper than any lawsuit ever could. Fix yourself, she added softly, before you expect us to fix anything else. She walked away. Kody felt the truth of her words settle like a stone inside him. He had won the case. He had overcome the accusation. He had walked out of the courthouse a free man. But freedom meant nothing if your own home felt like a prison. Hours later, the house slept, but Kody couldn't. He walked outside, the cold night air brushing his face. Above the silent streets, stars flickered. The wind whispered softly. He sat on the steps, buried his face in his hands, and let out a shaky breath. The words echoed within his mind. You can't hide forever. But now, the voice was not the threatening message. It was his own conscience. The truth was coming. Not the truth in the suit. The truth about him. The truth he spent decades avoiding. The truth that scared him more than any courtroom or judge ever could. He was losing his family, piece by piece, day by day. And this time, winning the battle wasn't enough to save the war. The night was cold, the wind quiet, and Kody Brown sat alone, victorious in court, defeated in life and facing a future more uncertain than ever. Ready. It was as if someone had punched Kody in the chest,